Welcome to Glowing Success. My name is Heidi and I am your host. This podcast is for beauty entrepreneurs. Join me weekly as we dive into the beauty industry's ins and outs, from business strategies, top-selling services, and taboo topics. I will be interviewing industry leaders with empowering stories and game-changing insights. Let's illuminate your path to success together. Let's jump into this next episode. Welcome back to Glowing Success. Today I want to talk a little bit about the new ruling from the Federal Trade Commission about banning non-compete agreements. So I'm sure you've seen this. It's everywhere, all over social media, everywhere, probably on Google. It's just all over the place. But if you don't know, I'm going to tune you in here. So the Federal Trade Commission on April 23rd had a ruling, I think of 3-2, where they're banning virtually all non-compete agreements for any industry. So this is huge news for a lot of industries, but it's definitely huge news for the beauty industry. And I think it's really interesting because, non-compete agreements, I really think that they should have banned a long time ago. And I'll go into a little bit more detail about that. And this is for for-profit employers. So that's where it affects mostly. So specifically, there's been a couple states that actually already have done this. So California, Minnesota, North Dakota, and Oklahoma, they have a full ban, and those states have had a full ban probably for a while. I currently reside and live in Minnesota, and I think our ban went into effect in 2022. So it's a full ban as well. So it's definitely different for every state, but for a while. But now this is nationwide. So the Federal Trade Commission now has made it so every state has this agreement. So, what does this mean for our industry? What does this mean for workers? What does this mean? So there's so many things, right? So I don't know if you've been in a non-compete. So if you're listening and you have been in a non-compete agreement, it's very challenging if you would like to go out on your own, or if you are just not happy. So number one, I would like to point out, most non-compete agreements are to protect the business owner, right? To protect the business, not to protect the employee, not to further employee in any way. And so generally speaking, they just don't work really well for both parties. And so therefore, I don't think they work. So let's say you are not happy at your job that you're at, and you have a vision of starting your own business, and you do want to start that business in the same town or city. So I live in the Twin Cities, and most cities, there's definitely some larger cities in the United States, don't get me wrong, but my city, for instance, if you had a non-compete agreement, and let's say that non-compete agreements can be varied. Like, I have seen non-compete agreements be for 10 years. I've seen it be for a year. I've seen it where they have you list all of your people that you work for, or that you're going to be starting your business within the year after you quit. There's so many different variables. So I will say, they're very specific in so many ways. But let's say I had a non-compete agreement that I was in or had, that was a year after you had left my business. You couldn't work or start a business within 5 miles or radius of my spa. That's huge. That's a big deal. That is 5 miles is a lot. When it comes to doing business and when it comes to cities. And so, you can see how the limitations are. I think they had mentioned on the Federal Trade Commission's website about there is going to be probably 8,500 new businesses starting each year because of this ban. And so that's huge. If you think about, the hurdles it takes to even start a business, if that is one of your hurdles, it's not necessary, right? It's already hard enough to start a business. We don't need any more issues. So I'm really excited about the businesses that are going to start, but I'm also really excited for people to be happy back in their lives again, right? It also can trap people in their jobs. It can trap people in, places that don't pay very well. It can trap people. So there's so many different ways that a non-compete is just not going to be helpful. So I also want to touch on, I have been an employer And I personally did not put in non-competes, but I will say, like, I've seen non-competes for a very long time. I've been in this industry a little over 23 years, and I have worked for locations where I've been an employee. I have worked for locations where I have been an independent contractor, so essentially a business owner that is working alongside another business. And that's where I know a little bit about non-competes from that side. And then I also know non-competes from an employer side. So like I said earlier, I didn't implement these for many reasons, but I will say, like, I've been told, like, oh, you should have non-compete, or you should be protecting your business and so forth. And, for me, it was interesting because I've always had this concept in my mind of, like, as a service provider, we are the ones that bring people into the business. We are the ones that keep people coming back to the business and so forth, right? So you can have a really large brand and name and a really great location and products and services and so forth. And that definitely can bring clients into the space, right? But I will say, like, the people that work at your establishment, that relationship your service providers are building with those clients, that's really what keeps them coming back. And sometimes even into the spa or salon. So we have to appreciate that, right? And I think, like, having no more non-competes, like, allows people to really flourish in this industry in so many ways. So, as service providers, we're making a career. This is how we live. This is how we survive. This is how we pay our bills, take care of our families, and so forth. So when you're setting limitations about all of those things, you're really adding a ripple effect in the industry. And this is obviously very specific to our industry, in the beauty industry, but this affects many industries, actually. So that affects you on a daily basis, affects your life, it affects your livelihood. So that's why I'm also very excited about this, because that means, more people are going to start businesses. More people are going to feel free to work at a different salon or spa and leave the place that they're not happy with. That means, this ripple effect means that we're going to have happier service providers in the industry. We are going to produce better services and products. We are going to send that ripple effect along so far that clients are going to notice. Clients are going to come back. Clients are going to start to trust this industry again, because there is a certain level of contempt. Like, if you're, sorry, I'm like fumbling all of my words because I'm so excited, but if you've ever been at a job in your life and you're just unhappy for many reasons, you are not going to produce the best work. You're not going to be motivated. You're not going to, there's so many ways that affects, right? And so if you can see it from a larger picture, that if you have a lot of people in that space that are not happy, not putting their all into it, not really diving deep into this industry as service providers, that's going to ripple around to clients. Clients are going to be like, oh, I don't know. I heard from another person that, like, I don't want to try that service. That service does this and that and the other, and I haven't really seen a lot of good results from it. Well, that is usually because of a ripple effect of somehow. So that's usually because there is something going on in the industry and things are not happening very well. So that's why I also see the bigger picture of how this can affect us in a positive way. And there's just so many ways, but I love that this is happening. I love that I'm probably going to see a lot more happy service providers. I love that I'm going to be seeing so many more like open businesses, service providers thinking about opening their business. And it's going to give them an opportunity to open a business in an area that they want to open. And I've seen this actually posted online. A girl was saying, I'm so excited about this because I've actually been wanting to open my own spa in an area that's I'm currently working or currently have, a contract in, and it's a really thriving area. And, if this was in place, if my non-compete that I was in was in place and enforceable, I wouldn't be able to do that. And that made that girl in that post really sad. And she just didn't, she couldn't see herself opening that business if the other thing was true. So if she had been stuck back into that non-compete. And so, what a joyous story, right? I was so excited to like and comment on that, because I was like, wow, see, this is where the positive ripple effect is going to take place. And And so there's so many ways. So let me speak to the employers for a second. So if you're listening and you're like, man, I'm an employer and I have had non-competes and I want to keep my clients and I want to, there's all these people in the industry that are trying to steal clients and, trying to do all these things. Let's try to look at it from a perspective of, first of all, your business and who you are and what your business is about and the people that you employ. Like, those are the things that keep people coming back, right? Not the scarcity mindset of, I have to have this in place because I need to keep these clients here and I need to keep that competition where I can see it. That's really not what this industry should be about, number one. But that scarcity mindset that has probably put these non-competes into action for many employers, you have to really think about where that has gotten them, right? So like, it's not a good place to be in. So it's not positive to start with. So that vibe you're setting out is like not a good place to start with. And then also like, it's not really building that community vibe of being in the industry together and seeing others succeed and knowing that you have something unique within your business or yourself to actually draw that client back in. There's something to be said about that. And I think if people are worried, so I don't know why a business would put a non-compete in. And so for me, I'm trying to think of all the ways that a company would benefit from it to just be able to see what that side looks like. And I just have a really hard time seeing it because if you're worried about somebody taking your clients away from your spa or salon, well, good for them. That means that service provider was so good and so amazing that people are willing to find that person online and follow them to another location, which can be a lot of work for that client. But what I would say is think about what you're offering. So why are you so scared that client is moving, that person is moving, that person might open up a business down the street? Where is that coming from? Is that coming from because you haven't put enough time and effort into, building yourself in a unique way? If you haven't put enough time and effort into marketing, you haven't put enough time and effort into putting back into your employees, whether it be education, whether it be marketing skills, whether it be mentorship, so many different ways that we could be putting ourselves back into those relationships and really starting the vibe of like, hey, we are going to be fine if this person leaves. We're going to be fine if that person takes half of their clients. We're going to be fine if that happens because we have these things going on and this is what this company is about and so forth. Because I really, truly do feel like non-competes come from a place of scarcity. Right? They come from a place of, I am not going to have enough if this person leaves and this person starts a business, essentially. So that's just my piece. That's from personally me and professionally me. But I'm sure if you're listening, you could probably agree. And if you don't agree, I would love to hear back from you. I'd love to hear your side and I would love to hear what that looks like for you. Because like I said earlier, I'm having a really hard time understanding the other side of this. So I think this is a victory for everybody, but specifically the beauty industry. And I hope you guys are feeling a little bit more empowered by this. So if you're listening and you're not happy where you're working or you have been wanting to start a business, I hope this really inspires you to start something and really go forward in what you are about. And don't be scared by it. And don't be scared by the non-compete that you were in because it's not effective anymore. So all right, that is my 2 cents on that. I love this. I hope you guys had a good time listening to this topic today, and we'll check you later. I hope you liked that episode and found something useful or a tip that you can use immediately. If you are wanting more marketing tips, business tips, or anything like that, I have a lot of resources on my website. So I have PDFs that you can download for free. So look in your show notes. There should be a link in the show notes that you can click on and it'll take you right to my coaching website. And thanks for listening.